When I first heard about Project Octopath Traveler last year, I didn't think much of it and ignored it up until its release. But after trying the demo, quickly buying the game afterwards, and logging 40 hours into it in my first week, I'm surprised by how incredible this game turned out to be. And apparently it's becoming pretty popular too. Ah, fuck. Welcome to Octopath Traveler, the turn-based RPG that looks like that one time when you installed a realistic texture pack, lighting, shaders, and water on Minecraft and you were like, what the fuck did I just do? Originally, I thought the graphics looked weird, but now I can say that, man, this game is gorgeous. Seeing smoothly animated pixel art is a bit jarring at first, but once you get used to it, the different areas of the game look incredibly diverse and beautiful. I mean, holy shit, look at those fucking pixels. First off, the sheer scale of this game is huge. If someone tells you that a pixel art game isn't worth $60, first, you say no. Then,
you get out of it.
Or you could just show them Octopath Traveler. When you start the game, you pick one of the 8 playable characters and go through their introduction and tutorial. And after that, you can do whatever you want. One way to play Octopath Traveler is by recruiting the other 7 characters and playing their first chapters one by one if you're a completionist piece of shit like me. It takes about 12 hours to gather up all 8 characters, at which point you realize, oh my god, I have only played the prologue to 8 different storylines all packed into the same game, and my party members are barely at the required level to start on chapter 2 of one of the 8 characters, and each character has 4 chapters. Holy fuck. That's a big game. But you don't even have to collect all 8 characters to play the game. Hell, you could literally just play through one character's storyline completely alone, but goodness, I don't know why you would want to do that in a JRPG. Oh, people like to do that? On the hardest difficulty? Oh, people just like endless grinding and suffering? I mean, yeah, that checks out. But the option to not collect all 8 characters brings me to the focus of this review, and why I think Octopath Traveler is such a refreshing and addictive RPG. It gives you freedom. What kind of freedom? All sorts of it. Freedom from traditional linear-based storytelling, the freedom to do all sorts of actions in towns and while fighting monsters that can affect other aspects of gameplay, and the freedom to capture a big frog and force it to attack some of its frog brothers. I don't fucking know, I'm running out of broad examples. You can go wherever the fuck you want in this game, whenever. You can take on bosses or venture into new areas that are way above your level and strength if you're looking for a challenge, but make sure you know what you're doing or you'll probably just die like me.
It's a hard knock.
I'm dead again.
Don't sweep.
No! In Octopath Traveler, there is no one main storyline. There is no one specific dungeon you have to complete before the world comes crashing down. If you just want to fuck around and help people out on some side quests, the demon of the Persona series isn't gonna come out and be like,
hey fucker, go do the dungeon already. You only have 5 days left.
hey man, I hear your concerns about the world ending and stuff, but I'm just trying to fuck this robot, so if you could back off a little bit, that'd be great. At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about there being a lack of a gripping, overarching storyline, but I became really invested in the game without one. One of the worst parts about Octopath Traveler is in some of its main storylines, as a few of them are pretty weak and uninteresting. However, there's still some good storytelling and voice acting to be found in a few stories like Primrose and Cyrus. What's going on here? Blood crystals? Human sacrifices? Wait a minute, I know this anime.
Full Metal Alchemist.
And holy shit, don't even get me started on the Hunter's voice. She does this like Middle English homestead of kind of shit to reflect her village, but the stuff she says might be some of the most annoying battle lines I've ever heard.
Letting us beginning, letting the hunt beginning, letting my arrow fly and true, the hunt endeth.
Can thou shutting the fuck up? But where I feel this game really shines is in the detail and freedom it provides through its gameplay, character skills, and side quests. I know, right? Fucking side quests. The base gameplay works like a normal turn-based RPG, with the main goal being to find the enemy weaknesses and break their vulnerability to cancel attacks and deal extra damage. There's also a little boost mechanic that charges up when you aren't using it and makes your attacks deal more damage or hit more times, so that's pretty cool too. The combat goes much deeper than this base format, as each character has some type of gimmick they can use in battle, which makes makes the game stand out from other turn-based games where the main difference between party members is the weapon type or magic arcana they can utilize. For example, the hunter can capture enemies that have been injured to then reuse them a limited number of times, performing various types of physical and magical attacks. Meanwhile, the apothecary can mix various materials you found across your travels to make different healing and damaging items. It really makes you think about how you want to set up your team, since every character has passives and skills that make them really useful. Another great feature is that there are shrines hidden across the map that allow you to equip a party member with a secondary job class, letting them learn the skills of another character and allowing for some really cool synergies. Having trouble with that, boss? Looking for a way to grind through some strong enemies? Wanna just feel like you're breaking the game every time you fight? Then look no further than Cyrus's Big Nut Blast. Use the merchant to donate boost points to the dancer or cleric, then use Alfric's auspices on Cyrus to double his spell casts, then full boost on Cyrus to cast a double cast spell twice for 4 hits on all enemies, dealing like 4,000 to 6,000 damage per hit. Or just fucking cast Aliphan's Enlightenment too if you really feel like hitting one guy for 9999, cause fuck it, why not? To show you the power of flex tape, I saw this boss in half.
That's a lot of damage.
I know the battle section of this review seems pretty short, but just know that it's super fun and never really feels repetitive, and there's a surprising lack of grinding in Octopath for the type of game that it is. The unique character abilities don't just exist inside of battles, as they translate to important skills needed for story progression and to gather materials, hidden items, and information for side quests. The hunter and the warrior can challenge townspeople to duels, the scholar can scrutinize townspeople to learn secret information, and the thief can steal shit. I mean, this really cool dagger may only have a 3% steal rate, but if I keep fucking up, I can just pay the tavern man some of my money I earned from stealing and selling everyone else's prized possessions to keep going for this fucking dagger, dude. I'm gonna get this shit. You can literally walk into a church and steal from a cleric in the middle of giving a sermon. I'm going to hell now, bitches. Huh, what's this old man doing out in the woods? Oh no. Next up is this game's soundtrack. I know that in just about every video I make, I talk about the soundtrack. Like, honestly, how is this not just a meme yet? The music in this game is top notch. The music is probably the only good part of the game, an incredible soundtrack. The soundtrack is really well done this game's music, which is incredible. But this one is really a cut above the rest. The battle themes are jamming as is to be expected, but where I think this game's soundtrack really shows its potential are in the songs that play in towns and during cutscenes. There is so much emotion and heart conveyed in this game's music as it brings towns and characters to life, and it helps to demonstrate how much of an atmosphere even pixel art games can create. I don't know how else I can explain how amazing this game's soundtrack is other than the fact that somehow it can create emotion in a couple of sprites standing around with some dialogue boxes above their head.
Mama.
Ah, this kid's mom died. Damn, that sucks. But then you turn on the music.
Did you see me, Ma? I whipped up an antitussive elixir like you wouldn't believe. Can't believe it's been a year already.
Like, I can feel this song in my heart. This isn't supposed to happen. And finally, I want to talk about what might be the most incredibly detailed, complex, and well thought out part about Octopath Traveler. The part that isn't the main story or related to the main characters at all. The side quests in this game aren't just your typical go beat up X number of monsters or boring fetch quests. They're more like puzzles where you have to use the unique character skills I mentioned earlier to perform different tasks, like charming someone with the dancer to bring them to a new location, or intentionally losing a duel with a man to make a woman who hated him instantly fall in love with him. Wait, what does that say again? Lose a duel with a man to make a woman who hated him instantly fall in love. Honestly, I don't know how this worked, but I hope you guys are happy together.
Turn your love around.
Where the side quests shine brightest are in their individual stories, and how they contribute to the incredibly fleshed out world of Octopath Traveler. Side quest characters that you help in the beginning reappear throughout the course of your adventures, and they create a reminder that everyone is on an important journey in their own right. Yeah, I know this sounds sappy, but deal with it because it's good, okay? Pretty much every NPC character, and there are hundreds of them in this game, has a little box of text describing their life. While an NPC in another game may just be a lifeless way for you to progress throughout the story or a brick wall wall blocking off an area, the characters in Octopath Traveler are people living their own lives. Widows, children with hopes for the future, elderly people who dedicate their lives for younger generations, and hardened warriors are scattered across the world, and they can often be more interesting than some of the main characters' stories. It's this odd, beautiful thing that I never thought a game would remind me about. You aren't the only one with struggles or problems. Even though you play as one of the main characters in Octopath Traveler, there are countless others dealing with their own problems, and while they may be insignificant to your own life, the helping hand you give them can go a long way. Man, I thought I was reviewing a game, not giving out some sweet life lessons that'll be 25 cents. That's about it for my review of Octopath Traveler. I could definitely keep talking about tons of specifics and mechanics, but I don't want to spoil everything. In my opinion, this is one of the best games on the Switch. The emotions and beauty that have been put on display throughout every aspect of this game are so enjoyable and calming, and when you mix in an engaging turn-based combat system, you get a world you can dive into for over 80 hours without ever getting bored. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and let me know what you think about Octopath Traveler. I'm just gonna go put the soundtrack on loop and take a nap forever. Okay, bye.